Good evening.
There it is. Sorry, guys, for whatever reason, the chat was not working. Because it's not showing it here. Well, I'll put it right here.
Gary, aim low. Hey, Steve.
Where do you have this configured on? Because I know you put this on here.
Nope, I didn't do anything.
No, it's Chrome.
Penn State. Norway. Cincinnati. Hello from Canada.
Oh, Salem. I love Salem.
Hey, Brent. Idaho. PA. Hershey.
Do you have one of those SAS mags?
It's right there.
You think I'm going to reach that?
You got a guy from Hershey, PA in here. While you guys are coming in, I got a story for this guy in Hershey. My nono came from Perugia, in Italy. So some of you may or may not know, Perugia is, there's a candy called Perugia. Chocolate. My nono would always see anything that said Hershey, and he would say, "We were robbed." He claimed that Hershey robbed the chocolate out of Perugia. And he said that until the day he died when he was 96 years old. Anytime you would see Hershey, he would go, "We were robbed." Little family story.
You guys have about a week left to order the SAS mag. It has a logo on the front and the back, both sides. It's in the video for part 3 of magazines. If you guys are interested in it, there's details in there, but you can also email me at hbartacci@smallersolutions.com. I'm taking orders for another week, and then I'm shutting it down. It's not something that we will be keeping on hand. And I'm only ordering the amount that I get orders for. I can't afford to keep stock on any more stuff. I've become a SAS store. Carrie was stationed in
Puglia, region of Italy.
Yeah,
those rough Air Force stations. He was dodging a wine list, not bullets.
Well, guys, thank you for joining us. I consider this kind of a celebratory Q&A. Chris will be turning, do we want to say how old you're turning?
Whatever.
Chris will be turning the big 4-8 on the 18th. So this is kind of our birthday Q&A for him, because next time you see him, he'll be a year older, maybe a little wiser.
Maybe.
If you guys would like to donate tonight during the chat, you can do so by going to our link for donor box. That's our preferred method because Google does take 30%. I'm going to pop that right here in the chat line. That is also, that link is also available on smallersolutions.com. It's very easy to use. You can put your question in the comment section of it. I get an email, and then you get, priority of all the questions that are coming in tonight. You can also, do it through Google, and that's fine.
Stay over 30. Thank you. You guys are way too generous.
Steve, thank you for your donation. I don't think I've seen you in here quite yet. But this chat's acting a little weird tonight, so hopefully everything works well with it. Thank you so much, Adnan, too. They both made donations. Don't have any questions.
Oh, thank you guys, as usual. Thank you.
Mark on DonorBox wants to know, I'm looking to get a Robinson Armament XCR in 7.62x39. Several different barrel lengths, profiles, light and heavy, and twist rates 1 in 7 or 1 in 10 are offered. What length, profile, and twist would you recommend I get? I would just be taking it to the range occasionally. The rifle wouldn't have to be combat worthy.
Definitely 1 in 10. Unless you're going to SBR it, I would go with a 16-inch. For as far as being a heavy barrel or not, it don't really matter. Unfortunately, that cartridge isn't really going to give you that much of a difference, even with a heavier barrel. So you're probably better off going for the thinner. But absolutely, the 1 in 10, 1 in 7. I don't even know why they would offer that. I know they offer a 1 in 7 and 300 blackout because it has to stabilize the subsonic rounds. But I wasn't aware they offered it in 7.62x39.
You look 35. They said. This trap box is driving me nuts. I don't know why it looks so different tonight.
Yeah,
maybe they updated it. I don't know. See, the problem is Chris thought he was helping me by going ahead and preemptively setting it up since we were running just a couple minutes behind trying to get his water burger, for the Q&A. And now I'm like, how did you set this up? Because it looks a little.
Well, it looks open it up with the YouTube. That's all.
Maybe that's why they think you look 35 because it's like tuned into like maybe it's like fuzzy.
Could be.
It could be. Carrie said you're such a kid. Okay, let's see. Do you have any thoughts on the new 2021 HK VP9 Tactical OR?
Not yet. I have a VP9 Tactical here. Actually, I just got the mounting plate for the Vortex optic I got for it. My problem is my battery is dead. I have to go get a new battery for it. And it's not one I happen to have here. So that's one of the ones you're going to see coming up probably in about 3-4 weeks. You'll see a review coming up on that one. But that one's right behind me here. I just have to get a battery.
And John on DonorBox says happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. What is going on with Caracal? I tried to purchase a car 814, but the dealers on the website is outdated. Already got a car 816. Thank you for your review.
I need to follow up again and find out what's going on. As my understanding was, the parts were starting to come back in from the UAE due to COVID. They were shut down over at the UAE factory, and also that was where the money comes from that supports Caracal USA. It was my understanding that they were going to be starting to build again, now. So, but by next Q&A, I will put a call in and find out what the status is on that.
Do you know the latest on Colt?
No. All I know is what we talked about last. That the buying is done. And we talked that for some reason, at least as of now, CZ USA wants to keep the management, thinks they're competent, and they want to keep them in Connecticut.
Has there been a provision for HK417 to take SR25 mags, like how the SCAR 17 has?
No, you'd have to have a whole new lower receiver. That's a whole different ballgame. The SCAR was just that lower module, and the way that one was designed, it was easily done. The magazines, I believe the magazines for the SCAR, for the SR25 magazines are thinner than that of the FAL magazines, and I have to take a look at it. But the way that whole system works, you'd have to replace the entire lower receiver, and of course that's a proprietary lower receiver too. So that'd be a little bit more complex, I think, than even doing the SCAR one. And so few of those guns exist, I don't think that it's worth it.
Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. Thank you. Robert on DonorBox says, I've recently picked up a Wolf T91 in 14.5 inch, and I'm running it as a suppressor host. So I've had the muzzle pin welded and set it up with an H2 buffer and carbine spring. This is now the gaseous upper I own, piston or otherwise. It runs great, but the cloud it produces hasn't been solved by different charging handles. I've considered adding an H3 buffer and or a 308 spring to slow the unlocking speed, but I don't want to introduce reliability issues by doing that. Do you have any other ideas to cut down on gas blowback?
The gas blowback, you know, I mean, obviously very, very moderately by keeping the breech closed longer, but it's not going to be much. You know, that's just the platform. You do get gas that comes back at you. The same thing will happen with the HK. You know, any of those external piston guns, you get a lot of that. For as far as charging handles, the best one I find out there is the PRI gas buster. That's what I use on most of mine. But I haven't tried suppressing the T91 at all. I've been doing a lot of suppress work with my LMT recently, their external piston gun, and that one's not bad at all. But you know, my M4s and all the internal piston ones I got are all pretty brutal.
If you spam the chat, you find the door very quickly. Well, I help you find the door. I open it for you and shove you out. Please don't spam the chat. It's annoying to people. James on Donnerbox, thank you so much, James. I don't see a question. If you have one, please let me know. If you forgot to add it in there, you can email it to me at hfartachi@smallarmsolutions.com, and I'll make sure that we pull that for you. Any plans on getting one of those Type 65 parts kits that are coming in soon?
Yes, Misha was nice enough to think of me when he was getting his. He's got one for me as well. Right now, William's trying to find some barrels. That's the hard part right now, is finding the barrels. So I will. It's just a matter of getting the parts together to build it. It's going to be a while. It's also going to be an 80% lower. That the markings on there are not nearly as complex as a T91. It just says T65 rifle 5.56 with a serial number. You don't have any of the Chinese characters or anything on it.
Abram on Donnerbox says, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abram. He says, why doesn't the U.S. government use the mid-length gas system, and does any military use it?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because SOCOM did a report basically saying that it was a vast improvement over the carbine length. The M4 just has not changed. If you go with a 14.5-inch barrel with a mid-length gas system, you have a problem with using a bayonet, so you'd have to actually place all your bayonets. You have an inventory with something new. I know Carl Lewis, he did a modified bayonet when he did his entry in the individual carbine program, because he did use that. It's definitely a worthwhile enhancement. The problem is there's so much money and everything invested in the RAS systems and things like that, the spare parts. You really would have to show a drastic change for them to move to something like that. And our government just isn't going to do it. They don't see that much of a benefit to it.
Matt wants to know, can you clear up what the CAR 15 was? Was it a GAW, a Colt Commando? It gets fuzzy. My uncle was 5th Group Mike Force Team B16 in 67 to 68 and killed February 25th.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that. I'm grateful for his service. Well, it's a very generic term. You have the GAW, which basically is your XM177, no forward assist, and you have the 177 E2 had forward assist. All the Air Force guns, none of them had forward assist. Everything that was a GAW was that. But you did have some different variations in barrel length. I think you had like a 10.5 and a 12.5. I'm trying to remember offhand what those different ones were. But the CAR 15 basically, at the time of its inception, was a telescopic short barrel rifle with a telescopic stock. It was a sub 14.5. It was probably anything below 12. You had that. You had moderators on them instead of flash suppressors, which basically worked as a flash suppressor and also slightly reduction in noise. One of the problems with the really short barrels like that was you had a lot of muzzle blast, and the military felt that wasn't good, so they went with a moderator. 14.5-inch, oddly enough, where that came from, was the shortest barrel they found to be acceptable for as far as noise and blast. But it's very generic. You hear the term commando. Commando it's been used right up until not too long ago with the A2 commando. You have all kinds of different versions of it, but the quintessential commando was basically the short barrel with the moderator, with and without the forward assist. Anytime you hear the word GAW, you think Air Force, no forward assist.
Charles on Donnerbox says, happy birthday. Keep up the good work. Of all the new micro combat compact carry pistols hitting the market. What are your thoughts?
Oh, you're going to be seeing my thoughts coming up really soon.
Or what are your favorites? I'm sorry.
My favorites, Sig P365s, Sig P365 SAS, as well as the Springfield Armory Hellcat. Those are undoubtedly my favorite ones.
We actually just finished the Hellcat today. They're starting to run. They're starting to run together. Yes, it was today, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now, you're going to be seeing a video that's going to be comparing the P365 to the P365 SAS, and then there's going to be a comparison between the 365 and the Hellcat, because one of those is going to be my new carry gun. It's replacing my Glock. So there's going to be a video where I do the comparison between those.
You reveal your carry gun.
The biggest thing I'm waiting for right now is holsters. The way that I'm going to be carrying my new carry concealed gun is going to be in a pocket holster that slides in my pocket. And due to the fact I'm using a TLR6, I have to have those custom made right now because no one's actually making them, especially for the Hellcat. So I'm waiting on the custom holsters, and then you're going to be seeing a pretty big thing on that.
Yeah, so apologize that there was no videos for about 10 days. I've had some medical issues that I've had to deal with, and I had to go into the hospital for a little bit and have some work done. And I had to kind of deal with that and heal from that. And we've been back working. I think it was Friday we started back. And so, yeah, I can't remember now. I'm on day 6 of working straight. Long hours, but we have filmed, I think, 7 videos in the last 6 days. Finished 3 of them, and then we have about 4 more to film. So planning ahead and getting stuff planned for you guys and up, and excited for the stuff that we've filmed, and that's stuff that's coming out. And
I'm heading over this weekend to
regular consistent things will be coming. So
I'm heading over to see Bren at the gun room this weekend. I have a lot to pick up. I'm picking up a Zastava ZPAP. I'm picking up, thanks to one of our viewers, you're going to be seeing a video on the 499 Leitner Weiss rifle that was introduced for the Coast Guard that never went anywhere. You're going to be seeing a Colt LE6920 video, which compares the original 6920s to the new CR 6920. And there's something else that's coming there too. I'm trying to remember what that one is, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to help you on that. I can barely remember what I worked on today. Dennis on Donnerbox says, "Hey, it's been a while. Glad to see you two doing well. Surprise 2-part. What do you think of LMT's Estonia uppers releasing to the civilian market and the jump with several companies, including LMT, releasing mid-gas 12.5-inch barrels? Is this something you believe will be here to stay for the foreseeable future, or just a fad?"
12.5, you can't go mid-length with that. You can only go carbine with that because that's like a yeah. I think you're gonna be able to do that. But for as far as Estonia uppers, I just talked to Carl Lewis a couple days ago. It's going to be a hell of a long time before we start seeing any of that stuff in the commercial market. They need to finish their military contracts first. I'm supposed to be having one, coming to me as soon as possible. I have no ETA, an actual Estonia rifle to do a review on. I think that most companies, if you can use a longer gas system on a 14.5-inch, you're not going to do anything with a mid-length gas system below 14.5 inch. It's just not going to happen. Because, like I said, if you look at a 12.5 or 10.5, it's, you can't fit it, there. But if you're not using a bayonet, I see no reason to use a carbine length gas system, quite honestly.
What do you think about steel case ammo in AR-15?
It's not so much the fact that it's steel cased, it's the ammunition is not loaded to proper specifications. The problem is they don't use proper port pressures, semi-port pressures, so it causes a lot of guns not to work. You can see that with a lot of these guns that are adjustable gas systems. You can see where you can go on setting 2 with NATO ammunition, then you have to go to the full wide open to try to get to work with Wolf. Wolf tends to work better with 14.5-inch and up. But when it comes to anything in any of the SBRs, the ammo just doesn't work reliably. And that ammunition is also the reason why most of your guns right now through your non-military manufacturers are using larger gas ports, because you guys all want those guns to work with the cheap Wolf ammunition. So they have to throw off the gas system and unbalance it to open the gas ports up so it will work with that lower powered stuff. So then when you put actual 5.56 NATO in it, now your gun's overgassed.
What is the difference between the normal black A2 stock and the textured A2 gray stock? I've seen some old Colt A15 A2 Sporter 2 rifles without texture.
There was no mil spec on that. Whoever was making them at the time, there were, you will see different ones. You'll see different looking ones, even in the original M16s as well. You'll see different looking polymers, even on the A2, the M4 stocks. You will see some different variations. I have those different variations here myself. It all depends on who the subcontractor is. As long as the material is the same, you may have a different additive or something in there that gives you a smoother finish or more of a rougher finish or whatever. But there's no significance to it. It's just there are some variations that are allowed.
What are your thoughts on AR-10 pistols, 12.5 or 13-inch? I just got an Arrow AR-10 pistol lower. Should I build it upper with a Dictator gas block?
The only short barrel I've ever had that was that really worked properly was the LMT MWS with the 13.5-inch barrel. For as far as a pistol is concerned, there's no benefit to it. I see no need for it because you are literally losing so much propellant and unburned propellant, and you're losing so much velocity that there's no benefit to having that caliber that large. You're just getting a large fireball, a bullet with low velocity. You're far better off going with a 5.56 in something that short. So yeah, the last 10.5 or the last AR-10 pistol that I reviewed was Diamondback Firearms. It was a video on their their DB10 series, and they had one there, and I did not care for it. It's better with if you SBR it with having a proper stock, so you can get a hold of it better. But quite frankly, it's not something that I think is worth doing.
Do you have any opinion on the Sig Romeo5 red dot sight?
Let me pull up a picture of that one. I have many.
You've used that one before. I'm
trying to remember which one it looks like so I can give them right information.
Oh my God, when I know more than you, say it isn't so.
I have many Sig. Many Sig.
I just want to give you a hard time. That's my job. Oh. When autocorrect changes 5 to 0. That one.
I don't have that one.
I thought for sure that you've had that and used it.
No, you're right. Actually, you are right. I am wrong. I had this one with a different mount on my Sig MPX. Yes, I've used it for quite some time.
I love being right.
Yes,
just a little bit.
I used to have a different mount on mine. It came with a different mount. All those Sig optics I have really good luck with. They're red dots. I have one of the Romeo 4s, I think it is, on my P320 Tactical. You will not go wrong with any of those optics. I've been very pleased with them. The only problem I did have with the one that I have is it comes with lens caps on it, and the rear lens cap is popped off, and it keeps popping off, and I can't get it to stay back on. I did email my contact over at Sig about that, but that's not a flaw in the optics. Optic works awesome.
Is there any difference in reliability between the PMAG Gen 2 and Gen 3?
No, the PMAG Gen 3, it does use a slightly different polymer, but I think the biggest benefits to the Gen 3 is you can use it in anything. You don't have any compatibility issues with the SCAR. You don't have any issues with going into guns that have the shorter mag wells, like the MR556 or HK416 or the SA80s. It was a lot more of a compatibility issue that they corrected rather than a lot of changes in the materials. So I don't think reliability you'll see much of a difference between the two at all. I still use both on a daily basis, and I can't say one's better than the other. The only time I notice it's when I'm using a gun that uses a slightly weird magazine well that the Gen 2s won't work in.
Carrie, so we were blinded by your smile, Heather, and then you hit again. Well, I'll pop out to prove that I'm right. I love being right. What girl doesn't? Dorian, thank you so much. He on Donor Box, he said, "Happy upcoming birthday, Chris. Love the work you guys."
Thank you very much.
And our oldest daughter's turning 18 tomorrow. So
another video I want to tell you is coming up. This is actually one that I'm pretty stoked about. I'm going to be doing one on my favorite subguns. And I'm going to have them rated. And the 4 guns are going to be the MP5, the MPX, the Colt pattern, as well as the MP5. And we're going to go over all 4 of them, and I'm going to tell you which one I like best. and why.
So yeah, our daughter is going to be 18 years old tomorrow, which is like, we
It's
can't believe that
unbelievable.
she's like considered an adult, which
Thank God she's got her mother's brains. She was accepted at Baylor University.
no, she's way smarter than me.
Yeah, Baylor University, and she got a $100,000 scholarship.
She has $100,000 in scholarships for Baylor.
So she's definitely a credit to us. Just don't tell her that.
It's still a very, very expensive school, though. It only covers less than half of her education. So I'm going to have to pick up a night job. Who really makes part kits, uppers and or lowers? I have many from high-end to low-end manufacturers, and they all look similar.
Most of these parts come from the same companies. For as far as parts that are subcontracted out, there, for instance, forging companies, there's probably only 3 or 4 forging companies that are out there. It doesn't matter if you're Colt or your FN or your Diamondback or your Arrow, you're getting the same ones. There's a lot of companies like Arrow and like some other ones who do manufacture a lot of upper receivers for the higher manufacturers. Same thing with bolts. You'll see several manufacturers who make bolts, Micro Best, for is a good example, who make them for Colt. They make them for a lot of companies. So you're exactly right when you're saying that the parts look the same, because a lot of them are the same, but the problem is you just don't know what's what. The other issue comes down to is, I'll say back when Colt, for instance, say Colt would say they were ordering bolt carriers from somebody else. And the bolt carriers came in, they went through Colt's QC, and they said, no, you're missing a certain dimension or whatever. We can't take them. And then they would take those parts that were rejected from Colt and sell them to another manufacturer. So some of these parts are recycled as well. They don't meet one company's specifications, so then they're sold somewhere else. So yeah, you'd be surprised. I know Aero Precision is one who does a lot of work for OEMs. Just to name one, and Lewis Machine and Tool does lots of works for OEMs.
Yes, Baylor and Waco.
Yep.
There's a few different Baylors, but this is the main campus. It's in Waco. And yes, they did do good in March Madness. They won, which was a big deal. But yeah, we're very excited for her. We've already gotten some, merch for us to wear as parents. I'm going to take a photo of him pretty soon in his little Baylor shirt and post it for you guys, because we are extremely proud of her. She also got into Texas A&M, UT Austin, UT Dallas, UT Arlington, SFA, and then a couple other ones too. But it took a while to decide where she was going to go. But we're very proud. And with Chris, when we were married for a couple years before we got pregnant with our first one. And I remember him saying, I just want to have a kid before I turn 30. And so he turned, you turned 30 3 days after she was born. So he got to be 29. If CZ and Colt need your input, would you do some consulting for them?
Sure. I want to work directly with CZ because I don't think Colt would want me in there, especially the management. They definitely don't like my opinions. If CZ wanted somebody who has no dog in the fight, honest assessment of what needs to go on, I'd be happy to. I want to see the company succeed. I'm not anti-Colt, never have been. I've dedicated my life to that company. I want to see them succeed. And if I was ever called upon to assist in that, I would of course do it.
What are your thoughts on the Steyr AUG?
I am not a fan of bullpups. Never have been. Never will. It was it's a very interesting rifle. I've shot several of them. The actual military variation, the trigger is weird. It's weird to have a 2-stage trigger, one stage being semi and the second stage being full auto. That was weird. The AUG was certainly the first rifle to as a general purpose to use an optic, which was cool. In fact, Estonia, New Zealand just had LMT replace their AUGs with it. I have to say my favorite of all of the bullpups would have to be the Tavor. I like that one. It has a better feel to it. It feels more robust to me. I can't tell you really anything bad about it. It's an outdated rifle. It's a rifle from the 80s. It's it's late 70s, I think it was. It definitely was groundbreaking being polymer. Proprietary magazines. The whole thing was proprietary. The barrel's still probably of any of the bullpups today is the easiest one to disassemble and put back together if you so chose. I did do a video on the Steyr AUG. If you go back in to one of the earlier videos, you'll see one on that.
Nelson on Donor Box. Thank you, Nelson. He said happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Great channel. Heather's awesome. I know. Thank you so much. Do you still have a high opinion of the CZ Bren 2 carbine?
Yes, absolutely. I have it sitting right next to me. I've actually become fond of a lot of the CZ stuff. I got my 805. I got my Bren 2, and I'm just getting ready to SBR my Scorpion. And you're going to be seeing a video coming up on the P10F, which I'm going to be keeping as well. I've actually been quite fond of a lot of the CZ stuff I've been working with. They do wonderful, wonderful quality. And the Bren 2, I would definitely take that over a Scar, a 16 in a heartbeat. Excuse me.
Joey on Donor Box. Thank you, Joey. Is Lehigh Defense coming out with real innovation in their bullet technology or just a bunch of gimmicks?
No, Lehigh they were one of the first companies who really did a lot of work with machine bullets, with the machine copper bullets. It's definitely a different kind of a technology, which they do. It's different from solid copper bullets. That's sort of the technology where the RIP ammunition came from. I've played with some of their ammunition. It's extremely expensive because every bullet is machined on a CNC machine. It's a lathe. It's expensive. They certainly do work. It's just a very cost prohibitive technology in my opinion. But no, it's very, very viable.
Tad on Donor Box. He's having some issues with ARs fitting him correctly, and he's saying the M4 style carbine doesn't fit him. Always it feels too small and not comfortable to use. Something about the buffer tube and stock doesn't work for him. But the irony is a Ruger Mini 14 is no problem. An old school M16 they had to rent is no problem. An AR-10 no problem. An M1A no problem. It seems I'm just that 1 in 10,000 who work better with a full-size rifle. Am I better off going with the rifle that fits me best, or Frankenstein and AR-15 to work for me?
Well, that's the whole beauty of this weapons platform is you can customize it for yourself. Myself, I prefer the LMT mod stock with a 6-position receiver extension. I'm as you know, I'm 6'2". I got very long arms, very broad. And some of these M4s don't fit me at all because they are too short. The SOT mod with 6 position does really good for me. Plus, you have all 6 positions that are in there. I guess I'm trying to see how that would be different from a standard M16 stock. I guess, unfortunately for me, I can't see. I can fire either one. In fact, I try to do better with the carbines because the carbine stocks a lot of times will offer you more length of pull than definitely the A1 will. The A1 is short for someone who's got a large frame. The A2, if you're wearing body armor, is way too long. You have that middle ground there, which is where the carbines do really, really well. With the longer stock, like the Voltor, Voltor has the longer the clubfoot stocks, which is good as well. But I would be looking at a 6-position stock with like a LMT SOT mod that gives you a good full length of pull.
Kevin on Donor Box. Thank you, Kevin. What can be done to help the gunsmithing, armor, and home gunsmithing industries understand the importance of the proper screw torque with a torque limiting driver and the proper use of Hinkle aerobic adhesives? There is so much complaining about broken screws or loosening, but there is no understanding that this problem is 99.98% operator error. Well,
unfortunately, a lot of people just look at the parts and think they can just put them together any way that they want. When you're actually trained as an armor, you are trained that every part has a torque spec. Torque specs are a couple reasons, especially when it comes to screws. Over torqued screws snap. Under torqued they come loose. Using adhesives, it works. It keeps them tight when they heat up. That's sort of the difference between a professional and a hobbyist. A hobbyist doesn't really get that. They don't have proper training. There are some parts on the guns, for instance, you don't need torque specs for. Hand tight's good enough. But when you start getting into your major screws like carrier key screws and and things like that, there are torque barrel nuts. I mean, people I know tell me that they don't even use torque limiters on barrel nuts. That's crazy. But people think that they can just do it by hand, just like torquing barrel nuts. They do it with one, they do it once, not realizing there's a torque expression, there's a torque ratio, and then you do it 3 times to make sure you don't get a false torque. They don't get that. That really is a difference between a professional versus a novice hobbyist. There are documentation out there. My armor's manual gives you all of the torque ratios, so you know what to do. But as far as adhesives is concerned, mil spec really only uses a couple. They use SEs, molly coat basically for the barrel and the receiver extension, and then they use a gasket sealer on the bolt carrier where the carrier interfaces the carrier key around that gas port hole. That's pretty much all that you see fit. Everything else is pretty much used with roll pins or spring pins.
And speaking of armor's manuals, I have a few of these bundles that I offered them to Patreon first. I have a few still left, even after Patreon people, because I only have a few of the. Funnily enough, you have one right here. I only have a few of the patches left.
That's mine. Put it back.
This could be a bundle.
No. Put it back.
I'm going to let him have his patch. Last time this is only the second time we've done it. He got one. This time we got a few. So you're lucky. You got a few. So anyway, you'll get a signed armor's manual. You'll get this patch right here. This one on Chris's desk. And I'll throw in a SAS sticker. Not this one though. This is a holographic one. I'm out of these, but it has white, so it's all white border. He likes those better. But it's $65 for that bundle. If you're interested in it, I'm putting my email in the chat. You can email me, and we can do that for you. Evan on Donor Box wants to know: do you foresee a gun bubble on the horizon with all the ramped up panic production and a new AR assembler every day? When does this industry hit a dead end?
Well, current political climate right now, everything is uncertain. People are in a panic now because they're expecting that Biden's going to pass bans again. We're going to get bans through. So people are trying to buy up what they can right now. And everybody, all the manufacturers are having a hard time getting materials. I was talking to Carl Lewis the other day, and he was telling me that, again, them getting certain materials, they're looking at 30-something months out now to get resupply on certain materials. It's very hard to get materials right now. Say the next 4 years go by and he doesn't do any kind of a ban. I think the market's going to be consistent. I don't think that it'll probably drop a little bit, but it will be consistent. People now have seen what politicians are able to do and are willing to do and are trying to do, and they're trying to be preemptive, which is a very, very good idea, because you want to get stuff while you can, in case they are able to push these things through. Because one of the scariest things is once an executive order is done, trying to get a new president to come in there and to reverse those kinds of orders almost never happens. If you look at the 1994 Sullivan ban, we had Republican presidents come through there and everything. They didn't retract it. It had to sunset. So once any kind of a gun bill is passed, it's very hard to get those reversed.
With current political climate in mind, do you believe that being an armor or gunsmith trade is still a viable option with a promising future?
Well, it's a trade that will always need to be there. The only issue is going to be are you going to be able to get the parts to repair the guns? That's going to be the hardest part. It's a profession, and you consider how many millions of guns that are out there. There's always going to be need for people to fix them. So yeah, certainly it's always going to be a viable trade. Just a matter of being able to get the parts to fix stuff.
Any updates on when Brownells is going to start reproducing their retro rifles?
I talked to Roy a couple of weeks ago at Brownells, and basically what he's saying is the retro line is customized parts. And the companies who are making those parts are not doing those right now. They're doing the ones that they're selling immediately. So they're not going to go out and make, say, 1,000 A1 upper receivers when they can sell 10,000 M4 upper receivers. So things got to get caught up where they can start doing them again. I mean, the stuff's not in back order, but they don't make these things in house. They have subcontractors that do it, and their machining time is all geared up towards modern stuff.
I have a very needy Yorkie over here to my right. So if you're hearing like a weird sound on the mic, I apologize. He's kind of whining and whimpering. And now he knows I'm acknowledging
The assault
him.
terrier.
No, you can't come up here in the chat. You got to be a good boy and you got to wait. Does buying a bolt, he's scratching my leg. Does buying a bolt and a barrel from the same company have any advantages, or can any quality components from solid companies be expected to work flawlessly together?
You are always better off trying to buy from the same company, because you know that they have their own drawings and they make complete guns. The parts will work together. Most everything that you see is all reverse engineered. There is no, you're not going to see Colt drawings sitting on all these manufacturers, their engineering tables.
I'm just waiting.
They've really gotten it down to a good science with a lot of the quality manufacturers getting parts that are compatible. But for instance, if I'm building a rifle, if I can get my hands on, say, an LMT bolt, a barrel and carrier, and front sight base, I will absolutely try to get all the same manufacturers when possible. Especially if I know that those parts are made in-house.
You're making it hard to concentrate, Levi. Thoughts on LMT's 14.5-inch, 6.5 Creedmoor entry for SOCOM's MRGGA?
Well, it's not LMT's entry, but a 14.5-inch 6.5 Creedmoor makes no sense to me. You are losing so much on it with that propellant rate that it doesn't seem viable to me. I'm not actually familiar with that particular requirement, but it just seems to me that that would not be a very good combination. 14.5-inch barrel with a 6.5 Creedmoor. It just doesn't make sense.
300 people in here, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thoughts on AR-18 BCG with the AR-15 gas system like that is seen on the Daewoo K1?
Daewoo K1, well, K1 is a internal piston. The K2 is the hybrid. I own a K2, and I've tested the K1s. The K1 is the only non-M16 variant that utilizes the internal piston system. And of course, the K2, it's not really different. It's a long stroke, very similar to that of say the primary weapon systems, the AdCore Bear, very, very similar to those. It's an excellent, viable system. In fact, the K2 is a very well executed gun, which is why I ended up buying one.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation in here about Brownells and the discontinuing. Some people have heard that they're discontinuing it from other sources.
They're only discontinuing certain models.
And Sean is saying I think Brownells is only discontinuing the AR-10.
They're discontinuing the AR-10. They're discontinuing the BRN 601 and the BRN Proto. You will still see the XBRN 16E1, XBRN 177E2, and the XM16A1. You will still see those three. Again, right now it's because of not being able to get parts for those. They do offer kits where you can build your own of several models, but the BRN 10 is the one that's I'm really sad to see. They do have some of the parts, but not all of them. Some of the parts that they're just not even sure right now if they're going to be able to continue making them, like the bolt carriers, because again, it's a very highly customized part.
Oh, you know what that means, right?
What? I don't know. I don't want to think about it.
She's lurking in the hall. If anybody knows what it's like to be a parent and they're learning to drive because it's taken a long road for this one to learn.
Yeah, some people who are just not natural drivers. That's our daughter.
She's like, thank you for roasting me. You're welcome. That's our job.
She's the poster child for car insurance.
Yeah. So like we're terrified that she's leaving the house right
It's
now.
our only vehicle.
This
is so rude. Let me leave. Where's the keys?
I hit them.
Yes.
Let me look in your purse.
It's terrifying to let them out of the house and be on their own. So it's a good thing that I have the chat.
There's no curb safe anywhere in this town.
I think she drove our car after a couple weeks, like damaged the rim, and it was all.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they see this.
And that curb just somehow jumped right up in front of her.
Yeah. He uses to buy more Cobra Kai shirts and happy birthday. You.
It's her badass shirts.
Yeah, I haven't seen you wear that.
Banquet too.
Yeah, if you want to email me at hbartachi at Small Arm Solutions for the one who's asking about the Brownells kits, and I'll send you a link to it because, and you know, the interest of full disclosure, if you would like a link, then we would get 3% cut. It's a really great way to support SAS without having to actually donate physical money. And there's actually on Small Arm Solutions to Brownells and Palmetto State and a few other places. And if you kick through any of those banner ads, we get 3% commission. But I do have people sometimes that will email and say, hey, can I get, you know, a link just for Brownells, like my own link? And then I send them, you know, an affiliate link for Brownells, and, you know, whatever they purchase, we get, you know, 3% for that. And, you know, it's a nice way to support your 2A channels. And so if you would like to email me and get one of those, I would be happy to do it for you. Kevin on Donor Box, thank you, Kevin. Are Mark Westrom's tech notes available anywhere, or are those great sources of information gone forever?
You know what? I should ask him. I just spoke to him today. Let me ask him where those are located, because no, those are excellent resources. Absolutely. I'm trying to talk Mark into coming down here and spending a couple days with me to do a whole bunch of videos with him. He sounds like he's talking about that. He sounds like he's open to it. It's a matter of arranging it.
I think things are opening a little bit up after all the, you know, chaos that we've had over the last year. So
I'm trying to
hopefully we'll be able to.
Michiko down here, Tim from Military Arms Channel, I'm trying to get him down here as well. So I do have a few, and I also just mentioned it to Carl Lewis. I don't know if he'll be able to have time or not, but I'd love to get him down here too to do some interviews.
Buy her a beater. You know what? We actually talked about buying her a beater car for a while, but the problem is that she was going away to college, and we always knew that she was going to go away to school, and there was no point in, you know, buying her an old beater car, which, you know, I literally, you know, said to her, get you a beater to go, you know, to and from. And that child definitely has caviar taste on a beer budget, but we are looking at getting her
a protein water budget.
A newer car that, you know, has some safety features and stuff on it, because she is going to have to drive 2.5 hours.
Yeah. And
something that will last on the roads of Houston, because if you know these roads, they can be very brutal. And I think one of the highways here was, I think it was #1 worst highway in the country for like deaths and accidents. It's like, great. Can't wait to teach all 4 kids to drive. And our son, you know, he's 16 now too. So we literally have 2 that are going to be behind the.
He's never He's going to be the one that gets a ticket for impeding traffic.
Yeah.
Because the speeding limit says 45. He's going to be going 44.
Yeah, he's very much a
and in Texas, follower. 44 is a suggested lower speed limit.
Kevin wants to know what separates a competent firearms engineer versus an incompetent firearms engineer.
Their attitude. You have to be willing to learn, and you have to be listen to the market, and not necessarily doing what you want. Most engineers are not veterans. They're not gun people. They go to school for engineering, and then they can make guns today, toasters tomorrow, cars, parts the next day. You have to have somebody in this industry who will listen to their sales and marketing, who listen to the customer, and they build what they're asked, not what they want to give the customer. That's a lot to it. You can't have the ego that I will listen to myself. You have to be able to open to people who are around you, because a good engineer is going to be able to have a whole team who's going to be able to brainstorm and come up with different ideas. And you also have to be willing to work for a company, not for yourself, meaning that the goal is for everybody to succeed, not just you. And that's makes you be able to work with other people. That's really, from my experience, what really makes a good engineer.
David said, Houston is treacherous. I went to high school there and learned to drive there. It really does teach you how to drive for sure, because I grew up in Beaumont, which is, an hour away from Houston, 2 hours away from where we're at now. And I knew how to drive. Like, you have to be like, it's like combat driving. It's like, you really gotta know how to get in there and make quick decisions and, not die. And so when we lived in New York and we would go into New York City, he would never drive there. He's like, I can't handle it. I was like, I drove in Houston. I can handle anything. But yeah, it's pretty bad. It's scary when you think about sending your kids on these roads and doing all of it. Yeah.
They don't really tend to realize that it's not them that you're worried about, it's people around them.
Yeah. But I'm also worried about her too.
Yeah.
It's a long road for her to drive. Up north, you normally get a license at 17. Down here, you get a license at 16. And then when I grew up, I got my license or my learner's permit at 14, I think it was, or maybe 15. But my stepfather had me on the roads at 13 and driving. And she's just not a natural born driver at all. And at one point, I finally gave it to Chris and said, your job is to get in the car with her and drive with her. So he's been doing that for a while now. And he just comes home and he's just like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, we almost got T-boned. Like, it was bad. Yeah, I don't want to give her anything with too much speed. I haven't told you, she wants some I forgot what it is. It's a fast car.
No,
that's what she wants. She's like, yeah, that's what I want. I forgot what it is, but I was just like, no, never. My mother wouldn't become an alcoholic if she had the chance to teach me and my sister. No, I can't do it. I can potty train your kid, but I can't teach him how to drive. No, I can't do it. When I was 15, I had a full-time job and was driving a stick. Yeah, things have changed. I feel like and it's not like you have back roads here. Like, it's just all highways, 6-lane highways, and they all intersect, and it's terrible. Everybody's like, why are we here talking about children? Sorry. Are PSA CHF uppers any good?
Well, be a Colt hammer forged barrels. Yes, those barrels are made by FN. So absolutely, you're just having an FN Colt hammer forged barrel, which is top of the line, put in a PWA lower, or a PSA lower, or PSA upper. Excuse me.
It's a joke. You should buy her the Lego Ferrari as a high school graduation gift. I could see us actually doing that. Be like, here's your car. It's okay if you break this. You can build it back. You're very right. He's saying Utah Canyon roads in the winter will make an atheist pray for Jesus to take the wheel. No, I actually did think about that. I did say there are worse things, and I think it's absolutely worse to have to teach your kids to drive in snow. It took me years to learn how to drive in the snow, and even then, he still didn't want to trust me behind the wheel. Yeah, no, I can't imagine teaching kids how to drive in snow. That's horrible. Sorry, I'm trying to get through some of the chatter to pull a good question. What do you think of the 6.5 Grendel as a replacement for the 5.56?
No, not for an assault rifle. I've said this in the past. I worked for a company who we had a Scandinavian customer who wanted us to attempt to make an assault rifle in 6.5 Grendel, and the reliability was not there. That cartridge dimensions and whatnot are just not conducive with a military style rifle. I would take a 6.8 SPC before I would take that for a military rifle, just for as far as the design of it and the reliability of it.
Carrie says his dad got him a matchbook Porsche for his 16th birthday. Oh, it's a Charger, I think it is. A Dodge Charger is what she wants.
That's what Johnny has. And the Cobra Kai.
I think that's what it is that she wants. But I'm really glad that we could draw a Cobra Kai reference out of it. I'm really glad. How many times have you watched that series now?
I think you're on the 7th.
7. Great. I mean, I like it. I just don't like it. Watch it 7 times like it. Let's see. Thoughts on Geissele Super Duty pistols?
I have not been able to get my hands on anything from Geissele. Up until about, say, 3 years ago, I never had an issue getting anything from Geissele for as far as T&E. Then when Bill Geissele got out of the game and some new people took over, couldn't get anything since. Bren over at the gun room is going to be letting me borrow one of his Geissele rifles, the full carbines. But for as far as the pistol is concerned, I don't have any. I mean, if I could get my hands on one, I'd certainly be happy to, but I just can't get them right now.
Says a Dodge Charger wouldn't be the worst. Actually, they aren't at all fast. You know, I judge her, and my first car was a completely like redone 65 Mustang. And it was amazing. But I also never knew if guys were hitting on me or if they just liked me for my car, because they always wanted to drive it. And I would have guys that would pull alongside of me on the highway, and they would be like, roll your window down. And, you know, if you're in a classic car, you know that you have to actually crank the window down. It's not like you hit a button and it goes. And so then I look, I'm thinking something's wrong. Like, you know, I'm about to pop a tire, stuff's spilling out. And they'd be like, your car is amazing. And I'd be like, thanks. And then I'd be in work and people would say that they would see people looking out of the building and laying on the roof of the car. And when I told him I had that, he was like, you should get rid of that. That's too old. That's not safe. And then he saw it and he's like, you should get rid of this. This is amazing. Justin on DonorBox. Thank you, Justin. What would be the best online course from gunsmithing besides the Sonoran Desert Institute? That place seems to get a lot of complaints.
To be honest with you, I don't know. I've been doing this my whole life, so I haven't gone to any of these newer schools. You know, I've worked, working in shops and then working in manufacturers and stuff. There's a company that I know Tim over at Military Arms Channel, he recommends. And unfortunately, I can't recall what the top of that is off my head. But you know, if he's endorsing it, I would expect it would be a good one.
I get so many comments all the time about how you should do more like armor school videos, like a series that maybe people can like sign up into, you know, like as an online, like.
It's really something we can talk about. Yeah. I'm open to doing a lot of things.
Well, he's listening to me a little bit more now than he used to. It's a little bit more, you know, pulling teeth. It's still, but it's a little less pulling teeth. Ahmad, thank you so much. You guys don't have to share this on the live stream. If you want to put some retail products on the SAS page to sell with a decent margin, let me know, and I'll sell you guys up with some dealer accounts with guys like RSR and Primary Arms. I run Lead and Steel. I will definitely look into that, Ahmad. Thank you so much. Do you think an AR-18 carbine would have a better SOG carbine in Vietnam?
No. If you have a chance to take a look at the test reports, where the AR-18 was competing, or it was compared to the M16A1, the AR-18 did not do well. There was a lot of parts that would break out of parts. There were parts that would snap. It was not as accurate and it was not as reliable. So absolutely not. The AR-18, AR-180 was never a finalized system. It was never really gun. It was ready to go prime time. You know, the Army report did say that it showed promise, but a lot of significant engineering work still had to be done. So actually, no, the M16 was a better rifle.
Have you used or do you have an opinion on the Schmidt tool 2-stage nickel boron trigger?
No, can't say I've used that. No. There's a lot of boron coated triggers that are out there. BCM puts one out that I know of. It's a nice one.
Ballistic protection, ceramic steel, or hybrid against the common pistol threats, plate carrier or body armor? Plate carrier,
for sure.
Have you or anyone else actually seen a catastrophic failure by firing a 5.56 out of a 223 AR-15?
AR-15s have 5.56 chambers, so you wouldn't have anything catastrophic unless you had a bad cartridge. I have not been around one when it blew up. I have had several setbacks when I worked for Colt to take a look at. Were you referring to firing a 5.56 and a 300 blackout, or just want to make sure I knew you were.
Joey, that's for you. If you want to pop that down in the chat, I'll look out for it and we'll clarify that. Does anyone make a non-pencil barrel for the Tavor X95?
I have not seen any aftermarket barrels for the Tavor, and to be honest with you, I've never looked. So I guess I can't tell you for sure. I haven't seen any, but again, I haven't been looking. That's those guns are designed with pencil barrels on them just to be lightweight combat rifles.
Do you know what M16 models the Air Force used in 1966? My grandpa used one in Laos.
Yeah, probably the 602. 601 or 602, more than likely a 602.
What is your opinion on gunsmithing degrees, programs versus engineering machining programs when it comes to working for a firearms manufacturer? Did you see a difference while working with Colt?
Well, the reality is you'll take somebody out of an engineering school or out of a trade school for tool and die, and then they would say go into the firearms industry. Then they would learn that specific type of manufacturing. Every I'm sure every business has their own type of a way that they do things around the product that they've developed. You're looking at a lot of people, for instance, a guy who I think they're absolute world of, Art Daigle over at Colt. The guy's brilliant. The work that he's done, and that this is a guy who came into Colt as a gun enthusiast, but he was a tool and die machinist, and now look at what he does. But I think most of those ones, you do your apprenticeship, and then you go into the industry that you're going to work for. And that's where you get your actual training. So, gunsmithing is obviously different because gunsmithing is repairing where, being a machinist and somebody who's actually making parts from scratch. They're two different ball games, but for the most part, that's what it is. Any tool and die or any engineer, you go to your engineering schools, you get your principles down, and then you go to the industry from which you're going to work. And that's where your real education begins.
I recently purchased an AK-74 made by Spud Novak. I have limited AK knowledge information on the quality of that AK kit. Do you have any information on that?
Well, Novak gets that's just the receiver that they make. They don't make the whole gun. So I keep that in mind. Your parts kit, I'm not sure where it came from. You have to take a look on the side and see what the arsenal code or whatever it is. More likely, it's Bulgarian. Nodak, that's just the lower receiver. I have three or four Nodak lower receivers.
People will often, this is about Joey. This is back to Joey's question. People will often say it's not safe to fire 5.56 round out of a 223 chamber. I was curious if you've actually seen a catastrophic failure with someone doing it.
It's the other way around. A 5.56 you can fire 223. It's a 223 chamber you can't do 5.56. And no, because I only work with military weapons, and short of a very small run that Colt ever did with 223 chambers, I've never seen a military rifle that had a 223 chamber. They've all been 5.56. So no, it's the other way around. 5.56 does both. 223 only does 223.
I'm the one that recently bought a SCAR 17S. I noticed the barcode sticker on the left side of the receiver. What is the purpose of this?
That's the barcode for scanning. That's that takes the gun through its receiver, through assembly, through packaging. That's all that is. They can come right off. If you notice, the shield number is on that. It's the same ones on the gun. It's just something they can hit with a. FN has not gotten around to doing the laser etched barcodes in them yet, like some other manufacturers have done. They're still using the stickers. My CZ Scorpion I have right now still got that sticker on it. It's the same thing. It's just so they can take a laser gun, hit it that way. They're not marring up and putting a laser etching a barcode into the receiver.
Steve said thank you, and he wants to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you so much, Steve. Well, guys, we're going to shut it down for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to wish this guy a happy birthday. He's going to be the big 4-8 in 3 days, and we will be the parents of an adult tomorrow. It's like always a big deal when you your kid turns teenager, and you're like, I have a teenager now. No, we have like an adult now. Like,
I can't believe it either. It's just, even looking at her, I can't believe she is an adult.
And let's all just say a prayer that Sophia makes it home tonight, safe and sound, and that our car is safe and sound as well.
There's a great Arlie Ermy once said, "There's no such thing as an atheist in a teenage driving situation. You bring a Buddha, Muhammad, Mr. Jesus, Christ, and any other religious honcho you can come up with."
We have a Buddha that he brought me back from Thailand. It's a Buddha, right?
Yes.
I don't even know.
It's a real Buddha.
It's a real Buddha. It's gold. It sits in the living room. I'm going to pull that out. We're going to light a candle next to it, maybe some incense, and we're going to pray for almost adult daughter that she makes it home in one piece, and so does our vehicle.
Got a Bible here, got a Torah here. I got my prayer beads when I was over in the Middle
Yeah.
East. We got, as I said, I got stuff from when I was in India, Hindu. Like I said, we'll pray to them all.
Drew says he has 2 kids, 18 and 19. It was the best of his life to say, now get out. Except we have 4.
Yeah.
So we have a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a almost 18-year-old. So we have a couple more that we have 2 that are transitioning out, and we have 2 that are still kind of little. So
yes. Well, thank you all very much. We got some really cool stuff coming up, so looking
lots
forward
of
to
good
it.
stuff, lots of filming, lots of stuff ready to be down the pike coming up. So
have a good night.